You know that sudden violent jolt when you wake up from a falling dream?
Oh, yeah. Your heart is just hammering against your rib.
Exactly. You're covered in a cold sweat, and for a split second, I mean, you were entirely convinced you were about to hit the ground.
Right, it's this massive adrenaline spike. Like, your body's fight or flight system fully engages before your conscious mind can even process where you are.
Right, but then, your brain catches up, you look around, you see your nightstand, you feel the blankets, and this immense wave of relief washes over you. You realize, okay, I'm safe. It was just a dream.
Yeah, it really highlights how comforting that boundary is, right? The
Yeah.
boundary between our internal mind and external reality.
Well, imagine waking up screaming, covered in that exact same cold sweat, but the relief just, it never comes.
Because it wasn't a dream.
Right, because you realize the horrific trauma you just experienced actually happened. And worse, the memory doesn't even belong to you.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You are physically experiencing the ongoing visceral trauma of someone hundreds of miles away. And that terrifying obliteration of the boundary between self and other, that is exactly what we are confronting today on the Deep Dive.
It's intense.
It really is. Welcome to the Deep Dive, by the way. We've got a stack of excerpts here from D.P. Kirk's 2017 dark fantasy novel San Vitae, The Awakening. Specifically, we're unpacking Chapter 15, titled Awakened.
Right, and the mission here is to give you, the listener, a curated reader's guide and really a critical review of this specific chapter. Because honestly, if you're looking to get completely lost in a complex, gritty world of dark magic, political factions, and just heavy psychological drama,
So heavy.
yeah, this deep dive is going to serve as your ultimate primer on why this book absolutely needs to be on your reading list.
Okay, let's unpack this. But before we get into the psychological horror of Chapter 15, I need a quick lifeline.
Okay.
The lore in this universe is incredibly dense. I know it's a post-cataclysmic world, but give me the foundational setup, just a high-level context without drowning me in a glossary.
Fair enough. Let's look at it through the power dynamic. So humanity is deeply fractured.
Yeah.
You have ordinary humans called Sans.
Okay, Sans, got it.
Right, and they have no magic. But ruling over them are the San Vitae, these beings with extraordinary powers derived from a foundational energy called Vitae.
Magic users rule, regular humans don't. Simple enough.
Mostly, yeah. The San Vitae are ruled by Covennesses and this really strict political body called the Santerrie, and they operate under this rigid pact called the Didrith Accord.
So it's highly regulated. It's not a free-for-all.
Exactly. It's very authoritarian. And just to add to the chaos, you have human zealots known as the Humanis La Luna, and they actively hunt the magic users.
Right, okay, that sets the stage perfectly.
Yeah.
Because Chapter 15 drops us right into the aftermath of a massive disruption to that whole system.
Oh, absolutely. It centers on our protagonist, Kurien.
Yeah, and Kurien is fresh out of 12 years of brutal torture in an inquisitor's vault. We're talking absolute sensory deprivation, and he's just formed this incredibly powerful blood bond with a warrior named Sharina.
Which brings us right to that nightmare at the start of the chapter.
Yes. Chapter 15 opens perfectly exemplifying D.P. Kirk's unique blend of psychological horror and dark fantasy lore. Kurien wakes up screaming.
Because he's experiencing that visceral, horrifying shared memory you mentioned earlier.
Right, he's seeing Rikuko. She's the twisted twin sister of his former lover, Covenness Myasuchi.
Yeah, and the sensory details are just grueling. Rikuko is being brutally stripped and tortured by an extremist group called the New Covenant.
And he's not just watching it, he's feeling it.
Exactly. The New Covenant is doing this specifically to learn how to kill Sanites. And Sharina, who, remember, lived through similar torture in the vault herself, she actually has to comfort him.
Right, she points out that this is literally how the enemy learns to destroy them. They poke and prod to find the limits.
Yeah, what's so striking here is how this opening highlights the psychological cost of Kurien's existence.
It's exhausting just to read.
It is. He isn't just dealing with his own PTSD from 12 years in a dark box. He's burdened by the memories and the physical pain of others.
Specifically Rikuko, right, because she's the one who awakened his Sanite powers with a kiss right before he was captured.
Exactly, which forged this permanent psychic link. It's structural to the magic system.
Okay, let me try to wrap my head around this, because processing that amount of trauma sounds basically impossible. It's like Think of a smartphone running a totally corrupted operating system.
Oh, a corrupted OS. Okay, I like that.
Yeah. So Kurien is the phone.
Uh,
His base OS is already ruined by his own 12 years of trauma. He's barely booting up, you know?
right, he's glitching constantly.
Exactly. But then he's got all these background apps running that he can't close. He's got the blood bond connection with Sharina. He's got the shared real-time memories of Rikuko streaming massive amounts of data. And he's got this literal demon aspect of his Vitae.
Which is like a malware virus just eating up his RAM.
Yes. It's running in the background, completely draining his battery and crashing his grip on reality.
That is a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And if you're listening, I really want you to imagine the sheer, overwhelming anxiety of that.
Oh, it would be unbearable.
Truly, you aren't just remembering your own trauma, you are physically experiencing the ongoing trauma of someone else hundreds of miles away.
Yeah.
And you can't hit the power button. It creates such deep, immediate empathy for Kurien.
But the wild thing is, DP Kirk gives him zero time to process any of this.
Not at all.
Like, he wakes up screaming, Sharina's trying to ground him, and boom, explosive combat.
Yeah, they're immediately attacked by anti-sans.
Right, which are these mindless, undead drones, basically,
Uh-huh.
covered in putrescence. And this combat sequence is such a great showcase of how Kirk writes action.
Oh, it's visceral.
Sharina's combat style is insane. She uses these tethered silver daggers, and she channels her evoker magic, this glowing lavender aura, into them.
Right, she basically turns them into plasma blades.
Exactly. While Kurien fights using the shield of swirling metallic-like blood and Vitae, he's literally pulling the drones through his own defense to shred them.
And what's fascinating here is that this combat isn't just mindless action. It's an exhibition of their new blood bond.
Right, because earlier in the book, she was starving and dying.
Yeah, she was gaunt, practically dead.
Mhm.
But Kurien healed her with his dark vitae. It restored her silken black hair, her glowing tattoos, and it linked them.
So their souls and their nervous systems are psychically linked now.
Exactly. And their seamless fighting style in this chapter proves it. They move as a single organism.
But here's where it gets really interesting, because that has to take a massive toll, right?
Oh, an unbelievable toll.
Kurien even notes how exhausting it is. Psychically linking nervous systems is not a free power-up.
Not at all.
It's like driving a high-performance sports car with the parking brake on.
Ah, yes.
Like, yeah, they have this immense explosive power, but the physical and mental friction of processing two minds at once is just burning out the engine.
They're literally burning out. Which actually leads to a brilliant piece of exposition during a brief breather in the fight.
Oh, right, because they realize there's a puppeteer, like a smart anti-son, controlling the drones.
Yeah, but before they engage the puppeteer, Kurien asks Sharina a very pointed question. He asks, what actually are we? Like, why does the Santerrie fear Sanites so much?
Because they're a special class, right? They aren't normal San Vitae.
Exactly. Sharina explains that unlike normal San Vitae, who literally deteriorate when they use their power and rely on fresh vitae from donors, Sanites have a latent defense mechanism.
Which adapts to extreme trauma, so that's why the New Covenant tortures them.
Right. Sanites can harness that demon aspect we talked about, and they pull raw energy directly from their environment, or even from spilled blood.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, and the rulers fear that a fully realized Sanite could eventually rival the mythical anti-vitae.
The godlike original founders of the society.
Exactly. So if we connect this to the bigger picture, this explains why Kurien survived 12 years of deprivation in the vault.
Right. His body simply refused to die. It just pulled vitae from the environment to sustain him. Let me jump in here because I want to clarify why the ruling Santerrie Council hates this so much.
Oh, please do. It's all about control.
Right. So think of the Santerrie as a massive corporate monopoly controlling the power grid.
Persic, yes.
Normal Sans and regular San Vitae, they all rely on that grid. They need the donors. They have to follow the strict rules of the Didrith Accord. They are entirely dependent.
Hooked into the system.
But Sanites, like Kurien, they are completely off-the-grid solar houses.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
They don't need the monopoly at all, which makes them a literal existential threat to the entire political order. If people find out they don't need the Santerrie, the whole system collapses.
Exactly. It elevates the stakes of the entire novel. The ruling classes aren't just hunting them out of prejudice. They are terrified of a shift in the power dynamic.
So bringing this all back to the quality of Chapter 15 within the broader context of the book.
Why does this chapter work so well?
It beautifully weaves together extreme survival horror. I mean, exploding auras, shredded flesh, blood splashing everywhere, with these moments of really tender intimacy.
It really does. Right in the middle of the horror, Sharina cheekily calls Kurien Tiger, and he calls her Pixie.
Yeah. And she's comforting him after that horrific nightmare. It's so grounding.
Well, this raises an important question, right? How does an author sustain tension in a story this dark without just exhausting the reader?
Because it is relentlessly dark.
It is, but D.P. Kirk succeeds because the external monsters, like the Antizan drones beating down the door, are mirrored by the internal monsters.
Kurien's demon aspect.
Exactly. Kurien is struggling to cage his own merciless demon aspect. He's terrified that his own power will lash out and hurt Sharina. The quality of the book really lies in this duality.
And the chapter drops hints at massive future conflicts, too. Like when they observe the new Covenant airships and that towering black-brushed metal spire in the distance.
Right. It reminds you that their intimate fight for survival is happening against the backdrop of a brewing global war.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? If you love stories where the magic system has a heavy, gruesome physiological cost.
Where it's not just consequence-free wand-waving.
Right. And where romance is born out of shared survival and deep systemic trauma, and where the political intrigue literally forces the heroes to the absolute fringes of society.
And this book is a goldmine.
It truly is. The prose doesn't shy away from the visceral realities of this world, and because of that, those tender moments between Kurien and Sharina feel so earned.
They feel incredibly precious, like they could be taken away at any second.
Exactly. So just to wrap up the journey we've been on today, we've gone from the horrifying shared memories of the Inquisitor's vault
To the plasma blade combat against the putrescent Antizans.
and finally to the fascinating off-the-grid lore of the Sanites. It is a packed chapter.
It's brilliant world building, but before we go, I want to leave you with one final lingering thought to mull over.
Ooh, okay. Lay it on us.
We've talked a lot about the horror of Kurien sharing Rikuko's pain,
Yeah.
right? And the tactical advantage, but also the exhaustion of his psychic blood bond with Sharina.
Right, the whole crowded smartphone OS thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But consider the ultimate long-term burden of that kind of extreme empathy.
Okay.
If your soul becomes a crowded room, filled with the memories, the pain, and the literal demons of everyone you've ever loved or saved,
Oh, wow.
at what point does your own original identity cease to exist? If you are an amalgam of everyone else's trauma, who is the you that is actually surviving?
That is deeply unsettling. Is he even Kurien anymore, or just a mosaic of everyone's pain?
Exactly.
Man, that is a heavy thought to end on, but so good. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the source material.
It was a pleasure.
If you want to find out if Kurien can ever truly reclaim his own mind, you need to pick up San Vitae, The Awakening. Trust me, it's worth it. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.